rising input costs. As mentioned before, the situation with food prices was already difficult, but the war is adding further pressure on businesses when it comes to input costs. Food and energy prices have been spiraling out of control, and that means almost everything can suffer as a result. If producers can't sustainably grow and manufacture their products and manage the costs to process and export them, then their prices will necessarily rise. That makes it difficult for industries downstream of them that rely on those materials or products to operate. It's clear that Europe is more susceptible to these economic pressures than the United States or China. There's also the issue of inflation in Ukraine and Russia. Inflation is currently outpacing revenue growth, so low-income households are suffering from a steep decline in disposable income, which can be funneled back into the food service industry. At the moment, spending is still sustained via savings, low unemployment, and high demand. However, demand won't last for long as the economic situation worsens. The issue for food service business owners is then to decide how to adapt to this climate. Many are responding by increasing selling prices, but that might not translate to sustained growth. The other option for these business owners is then to decide to hold off on increasing prices in exchange for reduced margins, but hopefully sustained revenue growth in the long term.
Welcome back to SeedTime and Harvest. Last year we did Sister Jackie's fall garden, and this year she asked us to help her get her summer crops in. And so we're here. So join us as we help her get her summer stuff planted. And reviewing her garden for what we did the last time, I can tell that she had a pretty good harvest. She did send me a picture of her carrots, which were pretty good. And I'm looking at the snap peas. She did say she harvested out everything, but as you can see, there's a lot of peas on this plant still to be harvested, and it's doing really, really good. All these snap peas, we're gonna get these harvested. The Brussels sprouts didn't do too well, nor did the collards, but her lettuce, her herbs, her strawberries, everything is doing well. Take a look at this parsley. Isn't this a beautiful parsley, a curled leaf parsley? A lot of things in the garden needs to be pulled out, but certain things just to be maintained. So we're gonna do just that. Make sure her potatoes do get covered so that we don't have potatoes sticking out the ground. But we're gonna get everything in the right order, get it weeded out, and put in what needs to be planted. What I do notice is that even though we put a lot of dirt in here, as you can see, the sand, for some reason, it's still coming through. We're gonna have to add a lot more compost into this bed, and that's probably one of the reasons why the Brussels sprout didn't do so well, is because there wasn't enough of the good soil to help them grow. So we're gonna have to fill this bed up with compost. You have some things that will grow in sand, but some certain plants, they need a lot of nutrients, and they have to be fed consistently for them to be productive. Brussels sprouts is one of those things. But it's really not a lot of weed. So you can tell that she did do her part in keeping her garden maintained. For the family size, they have a good sized garden. The only thing with this garden is there's no barrier really between the walkway and the soil. I know her husband is gonna work on putting a barrier there, and what that does is allows the grass to grow into the planting area, and the grass, of course, it will suck out the nutrient out of the soil. So there has to be a barrier, and also that barrier will prevent the good dirt from running back onto the walkway. So once we're not going to do the barrier today, she's going to work on that this week, but we're going to get the plants in, put in some more compost and fertilizer, and we're going to plan out, leave space for her to plant some seeds, and just give her a few tips on what she can do to make sure that there's not so much weed in the garden. With the space, we can't really put down wood chips, because of what she's planting, but having a weed barrier between the soil, the planting area, and the walkway will make a big difference in terms of the amount of grass that's going in her garden. Summer is coming up, and a lot of these things that were here were planted in the winter. So we pulled out the collards because they're not going to do very well. We're going to replace them with things that are more heat tolerant. Like over here, we're going to perhaps put some tomatoes or more potatoes. So we're just pulling out all the winter stuff. We're going to add the compost again and get ready for the summer garden. We planted this entire area out with carrots the last time, and she did get a lot of carrots. She sent me pictures of the carrots that she harvested, but as we were weeding, we still found some more carrots out that are left over. And I just wanted to let you know that when you plant carrots, you may have carrots that are forked. As you can see here, it's not forked too bad, but what happened is the carrot will go down and it feels an obstruction. Instead of forcing its way through the obstruction, the carrot usually try to find a way around. And that's how you have forked carrots. So when you have carrots planted in your garden, you have to make sure that there is no obstruction, so the carrot will go deep in the soil without having to be crooked. But she got a good harvest. We're gonna put some more carrots in on the other side because of course you can plant carrots year round, and she does a lot of juicing, so that's one thing that she needs in her garden. Gardening is always full of surprises. When you think you've got it all, there's always something else to get. Fortunately, I cut a piece of this one, but she thought she didn't get potatoes, but here we have some beautiful potatoes. These are some yellow gold potatoes that we planted, and they're looking pretty. I remember planting potatoes right here, and I was digging, and yep, got some nice red potato. There's a lot. Most times when you plant potatoes, you'll get like 6 or 7 potatoes per plant. So you'll plant a good amount. Depending on the amount of people in your family, you put 5 plants per person. And with the potatoes, you don't have to harvest them all at the same time. As you can see, this has been in the ground for a while and they're still looking good. There should be another plant somewhere here. Or maybe oh no, it's still here. She forgot this one. And she said the potatoes didn't do good, but I think she forgot where it was planted. That's why she didn't harvest them. We're gonna finish spreading this mushroom compost to add some nutrients to the soil and to build the planting medium. After every season of harvesting your crops, it's a good idea to add back nutrients to the soil, and compost is one of those things that will add food to your plant. So every time you harvest, just go ahead and spread some compost back into the soil and get that worked in so that you can get your plants set up for success. It's nice and rich. We already spread some of it, so we're just gonna finish up these few bags. I'm adding perlite to the soil. It's good for aeration, prevents the soil from getting compacted. So since we're adding extra soil in, I'm just gonna add a little bit of perlite. If you're like me, you can use your hand and get it all mixed together, or you can use a fork or a shovel. But I'm just gonna get it all mixed in. Leveling out the garden, since we just hand tilled it a little bit. We didn't go too deep. We don't like tilling too much. So I'm just leveling it out. Here are the plants that we're gonna get in the garden today. We have a black beauty eggplant that we're gonna put in the garden. Bell peppers, green bell peppers. We have some sweet potatoes. This is a jalapeno pepper, a cayenne. We have dill right here, Thai basil, oregano, German thyme, cilantro, sage. We have more cucumbers. In this tray, we have more peppers, volunteer corn, and some tomato plants and squash, butternut squash, and then we have a tray at the very front with beets. Here are some potatoes that we've been sprouting that we're also gonna put in the garden. Let's get planting.